Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning in to LL3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the Old Dominion. And today's date is Friday, April 24th, 2020. So, looks like more people are out in the streets, rallying and all that, which is well and good. However, people should take the initiative in supporting all the businesses to reopen. Because the bottom line is this: these elected officials or servants supposed to represent the people rather than the corporations, the CDC, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. These actions shall never supersede your natural rights. And that's the truth. Yes, I do believe in voluntarism. Better be safe than sorry. Always examine information thoroughly. People want just facts, not drama, no fallacies, which a lot of stuff is happening, which I talked about in my past episodes, and being told what to do. Well, this is an interesting example. It happened in Maryland. And this will be a story from the Rutherford Institute, which I'm a member of this profound institution. I do like them. And it reads here, came out today, of course. Rutherford Institute warns Maryland officials not to weaponize COVID-19 restrictions to suppress First Amendment rights of protesters. As it reads here, the Rutherford Institute, Rockville, Maryland. The Rutherford Institute is warning government officials not to weaponize the COVID-19 health crisis order to justify carrying out surveillance on and retaliating against persons who exercise their First Amendment rights to publicly protest government misconduct in a manner consistent with social distancing guidelines. The Institute issued its warning after officials reportedly threatened a Maryland family with up to a year in jail and a $5,000 fine if they attempt to publicly assemble and protest the murder of 21-year-old Duncan Lemp, a software engineer and Second Amendment advocate who was gunned down in his bedroom during an early morning no-knock SWAT team raid on his house. Yes, I have talked about this individual in the past. And how dare the clowns in power threaten a year in jail and a $5,000 fine. Shows you how manly these stooges are. So we'll continue on here. Surveillance and retaliation. The tactics of police states have no place in a society that protects the right to speak out against the government in the pursuit of justice, said constitutional attorney John W. Whitehead, president of the Rutherford Institute and author of Battlefield America, The War on the American People. When the country is dealing with the public health emergency, martial law has not explicitly declared, and the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution have not been suspended. As such, remain free to exercise those rights, including the right of assembly and speech. At 4:30 a.m. on March 12, 2012, a Montgomery County SWAT team executed a no-knock warrant at the residence of Duncan Lemp. The warrant, which was based on an anonymous tip, authorized the seizure of firearms that were alleged to be illegally possessed by Lemp, a software engineer and Second Amendment advocate. In the course of storming the residence, police shot and killed Lemp. Although a statement by county officials about the incident asserted that police announced themselves and fired their weapons after Lemp confronted them. Lemp's girlfriend, who was with them at the time, refuted the claim, insisting that police did not announce themselves and that Lemp was shot while lying in bed. Because of these and other inconsistencies and omissions from the county's account of the raid, the Lemp family has demanded that the county produce evidence relating to the raid, such as a warrant application and a police body cam footage. However, officials have not produced the requested materials and refused to respond to the press inquiries. Access to records relating to the warrant have also been blocked by a seal order and then by court closures resulting from the COVID-19 public health orders. Can we say excuses? Absolutely, because these individuals believe they are special above everyone else. They are considered entitlements. They're superior than others. Cowardly indeed. So I will continue on here. Because of their inability to obtain information about the shooting, Lemp's family, friends, and supporters plan to hold a public demonstration to protest police violence and the county's lack of transparency after monitoring the Lemp family's social media and learning of their plans to protest the shooting. County officials reportedly warned Lemp's family that any planned protest would violate the governor's stay-at-home orders and could result in imprisonment up to 1 year and a $5,000 fine. Ooh, how tough are they? That if these individuals said they're going to arrest them, let them do it on their own, including the governor, without police assistance. Let's see how tough these vultures, psychic vampire wussies are. Pointing out that engaging in the First Amendment activities in compliance with social distancing guidelines poses no greater risk to public health than other activities allowed under Governor Hogan's order limiting gatherings. Hi, I'm Governor Hogan. I'm a constitutional literate. Rutherford Institute attorneys have warned county officials that their preemptive attempts to shut down the protest constitute an abuse of authority that imposes an unwarranted chill on the exercise of First Amendment rights. The Rutherford Institute, a nonprofit civil liberties organization, educates the public about the threats to their freedoms and provide legal assistance at no charge to individuals whose constitutional rights have been threatened or violated, and strives to make the government play by the Constitution. And so it was interesting because I was like, look, this is a little quick browse on this Lemp shooting thing, and I read about it, and I find it very disturbing indeed. But the whole thing is, you got a lot of these ass clowns believe they're smarter than the supreme law, not just in their U.S. Constitution, but the Commonwealth's Declaration of Rights. So they wrote this letter. I'm not gonna just a little paragraph. Just gonna look at this here. It's like 5 pages long, and you can read it for yourselves. It's very interesting here, and this was written. It was written to Haley Roberts, Associate County Attorney at Rockville. Okay, so and right down here on this letter. And I like it says here, in the way should this health crisis used as a justification for carrying out surveillance and retaliating against persons who exercise their First Amendment rights to criticize the government in a manner consistent with social distancing guidelines. And of course, they talk about the shooting here as well. And, it's just, they just, lay down all the facts here about gatherings. Does not ban First Amendment activities. Okay, they make stuff about the U.S. Supreme Court. And it's all true here, and so, and of course, outdoor demonstration involves activity is not the way any relevant way distinguishable from the kind of recreational activity specifically allowed by Governor Hogan's order. Yeah, it's just an order, so there's no passed legislation, it's just an order. So the whole thing there is totally invalid. All right, and of course, they talk about different cases here. This one here happened in Kansas, right? A Kansas federal court struck down a public health gatherings restriction as applied to church gatherings of more than 10 persons, where the order allowed gatherings of more than a number of airports, hotels, food pantries, detoxification centers, and retail establishments. All right, so there's another one here on page 4. A Kentucky federal court ruled that a restriction preventing a church from holding the drive-in religious services was likely unconstitutional, where other activities, including drive-in liquor sales, were not prohibited despite posing similar health concerns. I don't want to say it was likely unconstitutional. It is unconstitutional. Okay, even in the Kentucky, you can read the Kentucky's their state constitution as well, and it's very relevant. All you got to do is let's do a little homework here. And when it comes down here in this paragraph, it says here, at the recent Kansas Kentucky cases, Governor Hogan's gathering order, if applicable to outdoor demonstration, is not narrowly tailored because it allows gatherings that poses at least as a public health risk as an outdoor demonstration. As pointed not above, outdoor walking and hiking are allowed, even though that activities poses the same risk as an outdoor demonstration if social distancing is not practiced. Additionally, the operative orders allow persons to gather in retail establishments, including convenience stores and liquor stores, and non-essential businesses may continue to operate minimal operations, but with no set limit on the number of persons who may gather at business. So retaliation here, it says here, threaten to prosecute those who demand government transparency and accountability in an attempt to squelch speech is a clear violation of the First Amendment. The Constitution prohibits officials from subjecting an individual to retaliatory actions for engaging in protected speech. Government's actions in response to protected activity that would have the effect of chilling the speech of a person of ordinary firmness are prohibited by the First Amendment. So they just let it all out here, and here's one of his underlined here about surveillance and retaliation of tactics of police states have no place in a society that protects the right to speak out against the government in pursuit of justice. And it's great because it says here, would you do well to remember that citizens remain free to exercise those rights, including the rights of speech, assembly and speech, including times of upheaval. And you can say person, it should be persons in general, because even legal residents have the right to free speech as well. So, and of course there's even, common law. So you gotta focus on common law. And that says the last paragraph here. Additionally, we will caution you against weaponizing this health crisis in order to silence those who seek to challenge the government misconduct. As such, we will be monitoring the situation carefully to ensure that the planned protest over Duncan Lemp's shooting is not banned and participants are not protected for engaging the First Amendment activities in compliance with social distancing guidelines that poses no greater risk to public health than other activities allowed under Governor Hogan's orders limiting gatherings. That's for John Whitehead, who wrote this, from president of the Rutherford Institute. And it is a fact, okay? And there's no ands, ifs, or buts. And you can you can get that link. You can get that link right down there, so you can see it for yourselves. And I'm just trying to find out, where is my stuff here? Ooh, I got goofed up. No, not really. I'm just Just gotta get a couple of things. So that letter that was written to the assistant attorney of Rockville. It's in there. Is in the footnotes. Is in the documents here on the PDF format. You can check it out yourself. And it was interesting because it's not just they're violating the First Amendment rights. They're even violating certain articles of the Declaration of Rights as well. Because they believe they're above everybody. Okay, this is what's interesting about how these clowns think. Okay, and those are the facts. You gotta always look at these areas a lot more than what it is. And so we're going to be looking at here, we're going to have time to look at the Commonwealth's Declaration of Rights. Okay, so it's a whole good amount of them here, and I love this preamble. Okay, when this preamble says, "We the people of the state of Maryland, grateful to Almighty God and for our civil and religious liberties, taken into our serious consideration the best means of establishing a good constitution in this state for the sure foundation and more permanent security thereof declare." And of course, we'll hit Article 1, Section 1. Of course, Article 1. I should have put that in there. Okay, so my mistake. I'm going to add, I just say that all government of right originates from the people, is founded in compact only, and instituted solely for the good whole, and they have at all times the inalienable right to alter or reform or abolish their form of government in such a manner as they may deem expedient. So the people got that right, not the higher ups. And of course, talk about Article 2, the U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land. All right, so the state contrary notwithstanding. So you could check that out. Of course, Article 4, that the people of this state have the sole and exclusive right of regulating the internal government and police thereof as a free, sovereign, and independent state, not the other way around. Okay, so this is Government Hogan and the clowns from Rockville and beyond. Hopefully, you probably don't want to read this. You don't want to probably hear my voice, but I could care less. All right, so we can just go down to Article 9. Article 9 here, as it reads, that no power of suspending laws or the execution of laws, unless by or derived from the legislator, ought to be exercised or allowed. Was there any proof of this? No, it says under Government Hogan's order. So it wasn't approved by the legislators. So this order is invalid. And we can hit 10. That freedom of speech and debate for proceeding legislation ought not to be impeached. Okay, that's under that. Maybe my mistake. I apologize for that. But 2, that for redress of grievances and for amending, strengthening, or preserving the laws, the legislature ought to be frequently convened, not the other way. Okay, so that every man has a right to petition the legislature for the redress of grievances in a peaceable and orderly manner. So you got right there 13. Peaceable to assemble in an orderly manner. So that order is still invalid. And we can hit 17. That retrospective laws punishing acts committed before existence of such laws and by them only declared criminal or oppressive, unjust, and incompatible with liberty. Wherefore no ex post facto law ought to be made, nor any retrospective oath or restriction be imposed or required. Alright, Article 17, get that through your heads, to the so-called elected servants of Rockville and Governor Hogan, the Governor Hogan of that Commonwealth. Okay, so we're gonna hit number 40. Article 40 reads here. I'm just on my phone, so bear with me. So it's like, that's how you gotta look at these things. They got little small resources here, folks. But hey, I'm not complaining. That the liberty of the press ought to be inviolably preferred, that every citizen of the state ought to be allowed to speak, write, and publish his sentiments on all subjects, being responsible for the abuse of that privilege. I still call it right, okay? So, to me, you have to have permission. Well, you know what? Piss on that. So, let me hit 44. Article 44. That the provision of the Constitution of the United States and that the state apply as well in time of war and in time of peace, and any departure therefrom or violation thereof under the pleas of necessity and any other plea is subversive of good government and tends to anarchy and despotism. So, hey, right there, you cannot violate. So, they're playing a game of despotism. Governor Hogan's order is considered despotism, all right, or a despotic demand, null and void. And finally, here this enumeration of rights shall not be continued to impair or deny others retained by the people. So, COVID-19, health crisis, and all that. You know what? I'm not, like I told people before, don't make it a 24/7 excuse. Don't make that. It's a 24/7 excuse for everything. Remember 9/11? Very similar. 24/7 excuse for everything. You gotta do it because of this. Nothing else, right? Nope. Wrong. Zilch. Zero. Invalid. Negate it. Shred to oblivion, wipe your rear end with it, and flush it down the toilet if desired. So, to the folks in Rockville who made this threat, to the Lemps heirs, you're the criminal, you're despotic, you're blasphemous. And you know what? Sorry about that. Tumble. Anyone that supports this, that believes it's the right thing, you need to step down. If they have recalls, get a recall their rear end and chase them out of your commonwealth. That's all. So that's how I look at it. What are your thoughts? You know what to do. Hit me with them. That is it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout the social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, when we send something that's interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence to decorum. In addition, I shall leave I'll just leave the 2 footnotes on my Spreaker page. If you hit me on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, share it, appreciate it. And if you want to donate, my PayPal account, paypal.me/LokiLuck3 all together. That's the number 3. All right. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.